Hey there everybody, Ted here, just me Ted 1969 on YouTube, and bird. That's a chickadee or a goldfinch. Might be a sparrow. Yeah, actually I think it's a sparrow. Anyway, dough in progress today. We've got the cap on it anyway, and the vent, one of them. I've got a couple of smaller ones that I had bought initially, which I think I still may put one on, maybe at the top of the doorway, in the door itself, or possibly in the back, just to have like a secondary airflow source kind of thing, and keep the air in there fresh and from getting too humid. And so yesterday I had put, or maybe it was the day before, those 3 panels on there, and they weren't very well cut or consistently cut. Yesterday I made that table, and I was having some binding issues with the OSB when I was trying to use the circular saw on it, and it was kind of kinking up and jamming, and I figured that's a safety hazard. I did have this piece of 1/2-inch ply left over from my last order of lumber when I had the problems, and I panicked and bought everything over again thinking I was going to redo the whole thing. So this was to have been for making jigs with. And since I didn't need to redo the jigs themselves were fine. I had extra and surplus, so I said my safety's worth the $30 or so that thing cost, so just used it up for that. The 4x4s were one single 4x4 that I had found down on the shore, and it must have broken off from somebody's dock or whatever and floated there, but I salvaged it and claimed it, and it was actually quite new looking. A little bit of tar on it in places or something, but there was still like staples with papers on it somehow, so couldn't have been that old. Anyhow, yeah, my cake decorating skills are apparently non-existent, as you can tell from the job I did with the caulking up there. And the reason it looks so horrible is I goofed, and even though I had put arrows to show the top of the triangles so that they would point to the center of a hex or a pent, I think I had 1 or 2 of the first ones not oriented correctly, and there was some gaps, quite big gaps actually, as you can see here. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, up there on the left especially, and a little bit more so over here, those are the 2 worst ones. And so I had to get up there with my circular saw and actually trim some excess from them. It would have probably been smarter just to unscrew them and reseat everything. But you know, again, after most of a day's working, you're not thinking straight exactly sometime. By the end, everything was looking a lot better. That's one of the last joints I did up there on the left, and it looks quite good, as does the one to the left of it, I believe. So yeah, if I do any marketing videos, I'm showing this joint here. That's a nice clean one, not too much of a gap, and everything just fit really consistently too once I started getting the orientations of the triangles that I had cut correct. And the other thing I did, I have a lot of these triangles with a little corner off of them, and the reason for that is I get 3 and then that triangle per sheet of 4x8 ply or OSB sheets, and it just runs out of length there for that last little bit, and that's the first thing I used, of course, up there, not thinking either. I should have really just ripped it down, but anyway, that's what I've done, and it's up there now, and we'll say it's part of the learning process and things to be careful for in the future. I went through a lot more of the caulking than I thought I would, so I'll probably be off to buy more of that at some point. Other than that, it was a little tricky with the ladder getting up there sometimes, especially since I made that pile in the back. It was kind of hard maneuvering the ladder around getting in there. I ended up climbing on the outside of the dome a few times just to get up with my piece of wood and clamped it in, and then I would lay the screws into it and get it caulked up. So I think tomorrow or the next time, I think it might rain tomorrow from the looks of things. The next bit of good weather I get to work, a good day at it, should finish at least the wood parts. This next layer from the top down will be ladder from the outside. And then these last two layers, I don't even need a ladder rightly. I should be able to just work right from the ground or from the deck doing those. So very easy to do. And that's how it's looking for right now. So the Tour de Dome, June the 12th, 2020. Getting a lot of petals off the apple tree here. So I was going to put the vent vertically, or I guess up and down, see? And then I decided it would look kind of more consistent and cool as a diamond shape, so I oriented it that way, even though I had the hole cut the other way. No big deal. I've got lots of silicone on the flat part, and I'll make a nice bead around it again at some point there. So that's the top pent section. Just looking now, and that kind of looks like a flower the way it came out. Not intentional. And then that's surrounded by 5 half hex sections. So off of each side of the pent, that's a half hex. This side is another half hex. This side is another half hex. And this side is another half hex, and the last one there. So 5 half hexes, it's 3 triangles apiece, that's 15. And then the 5 triangles of the pent section itself, so that was 20 triangles I was able to get mounted today after I'd finished cutting the whole batch of them. And yeah, I guess I'll probably get smart and cover things up with that plastic sheet, and we'll go from there. Still have to work on the door. Haven't really thought too much about it yet. I'm kind of focusing on getting everything else boxed in here. Anyhow, we'll sign off with that. Hope everybody had a great Friday.